Follow-up. I made a video about it. Dmitry Bivol and his team were planning to protest their loss in the undisputed fight in Saudi Arabia, the beautiful kingdom, Riyadh season. And when I made the video, at that point, it hadn't been done. However, the time is now. And the attorney for Dmitry Bivol has officially petitioned the IBF, WBA, and the WBC and the WBO on Wednesday to order an immediate rematch with Artur Beterbiev. Now, before I give my thoughts on this news, since it's now actually confirmed, let me start off by saying this. Bad news. The IBF actually ordered undisputed champion Artur Beterbiev to fight his mandatory, a guy named Michael Effort. He get an A for effort. He get an E for effort. First of all, I don't even know who that is. I cover boxing for a living. I seriously don't know who Michael Effort is. He doesn't have, he looks like a Camille Says Meta guy. Like he has like 5 knockouts in so many fights. He's not a big puncher. And, you know, I had to look the guy up. He don't really seem like he'll be a major threat to Beterbiev on paper. So I didn't really know much of this Michael Effort guy, but that's what the IBF has ordered. So let's backtrack. I told you in my last video, when it was just a rumor, that I thought the petitioning and complaining to the sanctioning bodies, ordering the immediate rematch, I thought it was kind of goofy on behalf of Bivol for several reasons. Now, at the time I made that video, the IBF hadn't even made this ruling that Beterbiev must fight Michael Effort. And now that he's ordered to fight Effort, it looks even dumber because at this point, how is Bivol's, you're petitioning to the same people, the IBF, or at least they're included in this petition from your attorney, demanding an undisputed fight and a rematch, but then the IBF went their own rules and said that Beterbiev got to fight this Michael Effort guy, right? So how is that going to work? You guys let me know in the comment section. How is it going to work where you're petitioning for them to call it immediate rematch, but they've already announced that he got to fight, per their rulings, this Michael Effort mandatory guy? So at least with the IBF, I don't even know how that's going to work. And I truthfully don't think it will work, right? Because it's conflicting messaging, right? What would the, you protested in a close fight, what would the IBF look like honoring and ordering a rematch, but they've already told him he got to fight the Effort? So I guess best case scenario, if this is being optimistic, is somebody got to probably cash this Michael Effort dude out. And if he's willing, and that's always tricky in boxing because we've seen Bermain Severn when he was Wilder's mandatory. He got a lawyer and did not want to budge. He did not want to get out the way. He did not want to allow for Wilder to fight Luis Ortiz. And that was it. He took a very hard stance. And some guys like Devin Haney was able to fight Ryan Garcia, and they had to pay Sandor Martin like $300K to step aside. So some guys are willing to do it, sit at home, you know, and collect $300K. But who's to say how much Beterbiev and his team are willing to give some random guy that isn't a big household name money to step aside? So long story short, I don't really understand this protest from Bivol. I don't think it'll do anything. It could be a situation like Usyk Fury where they do a immediate rematch, but it's not going to be for undisputed. And now you see Daniel Dubois is the IBF champion, and you know, that's just that. He fought Anthony Joshua. So that's going to hurt Beterbiev Bivol because you have the first fight, which was undisputed. So now you're going to have the second fight. And even if Bivol won, then he won't realize his dream unless the IBF belt is at stake. But with this new information, who knows if it will be at stake, because I don't see how that's going to work, at least with the IBF, even if all the other sanctioning bodies agree. So this was goofy from the start. To be honest, I think that Bivol was out of his depth, because you're complaining and protesting a fight that was close. You know, a lot of people, including Eddie Hearn, they try to run to social media and spread a wildfire that this fight was a robbery. You know, it was so egregious. First of all, you got to look at the intent. How dumb is it to be a promoter at the fight and taking such a harsh statement? Because we know, if anybody who's actually been in this industry, you understand that sometimes the event live in front of you, unless you're Boxing Ego, because I can control my emotions, but the live, watching a fight live, is not always the same viewing experience for all people as watching it on TV, because you hear people cheering, you hear the oohs and ahs, and unless you're an ego type of person where you could just not worry about none of that and give your honest assessment, it's kind of hard. Now, you add on the fact that Eddie Hearn is his promoter, you know, it could be insanely biased because the crowd was chanting Bivol and stuff like that. So to me, I think it looks bad that people were really trying to make that fight sound like it was this egregious robbery, and it really wasn't. It was a close fight. There were things that Bivol did well, but then there were moments where he left more to be desired and he dropped off, and he let Beterbiev win big in spots, and he was backpedaling and his offense flew off a cliff. I'm not blaming bad scorecards or judging and all this stuff for that. That's Bivol's fault. You should have did more of what you did in the first 3 rounds in the last 3 rounds, because it was that type of fight. So the fact that you have Boxing Ego saying it, Teddy Atlas, and other people, Anthony Yard, I believe, scored it for Beterbiev. It looks stupid for Bivol to be protesting and his legal team to be protesting, because at the end of the day, it's that type of fight where you can't cry foul if it went either way or if it was even a draw, right? So of course the losers don't want to lose, and it's getting pathetic in the world of boxing that we keep seeing stuff like this. Devin Haney fights with Ryan Garcia and now he's suing him. I understand the Osterine and stuff like that, but you have to prove everything you're suing him for. One thing to like sue someone and put a complaint down, but it's something else to prove it. And then now Bivol loses a close fight and then sends his legal dogs to the sanctioning bodies begging for a rematch. Why, just like Devin Haney, why did your team put you in a Beterbiev fight, a 100% knockout puncher at the time he entered the fight with you, and he's a unified champion? Why would they not put in the contract a rematch clause? And then now you're crying and then sending your lawyers and attorneys to try to make that happen. To me, that's poor planning. You think Tank wouldn't have a rematch clause with Ryan Garcia? Absolutely, because Tank has a great team. And not that they are afraid of losing or think they'll lose. It just makes the sense to protect your star in the event of something unforeseen happens. You at least have that option. So Bivol needs to look at his own team for not having an actual rematch clause. Then you wouldn't have to complain and say like, oh, we really should have won and please order the rematch.